Good morning, everyone. Hi, my name is Carly Bell, and I love to do machine embroidery tutorials. And today we are going to be continuing with our Candy Corn Quilt Shop Sew Along. This is a beautiful featured quilt from Kimberbell that we have been working on all month. And we're actually getting very close to finishing all of the blocks for this quilt. I'm very excited. And today we are going to be working on two blocks. One is the big sewing machine that you can see here. And then right here, there are three blocks that look like little wooden hoops. And we're going to be making one of those today. And then the other two is going to be our homework. So good morning. Good morning. I hope y'all are all having a great Friday. I want to say thank you so much. Because I rescheduled. I was supposed to have this class yesterday because I've been trying to do every Tuesday, Thursday, but I had a last minute get together came up. My grandma called me on Tuesday and said, X, if we could go to lunch on Thursday. And I'm like, I have a class on Thursday, but I can move it to Friday. So thank y'all and for letting me be flexible. And sorry if you tried to come watch yesterday and I wasn't here, but we are here now. We're going to make these blocks. And of course, the replays are always here for you. As soon as the live is over, the replay is available on YouTube and on my website. So if you are new to this sew along, please head over to my website, carlybell.com. You should actually see a link for it directly below this video. And it's going to bring you to the info page for this sew along. It's going to have all the info about the designs, where to get them, all the supplies I'm using, and I have a free download for you to go and grab of like an organizational chart or cheat sheet to help you stay organized for this process. I went ahead this morning and started putting check marks next to the blocks that I've actually completed, and I think I still have like 7 I need to make. So a little behind, but that's okay. We're going to get it done. I think I figured, according to our live schedule, which is also on the website, I need to have all my blocks done by Thursday, October 9th, because in that class, we're going to start piecing everything together. So I have a deadline of Thursday, October 9th to have all my stuff done. You, by all means, get it done when you have time, but I need to be ready to show y'all by October 9th. So I have a little bit more time to get those extra homework blocks done. I hope that y'all are all doing okay. For those of y'all that are participating live with me, y'all got y'all supplies in, y'all are playing catch up, or y'all are starting to sew your blocks. I hope everything is going good for y'all. So I just want to say good morning real quick to I see Quilt Winch and Becky and Patty and Jess's Craft Therapy. Thanks so much for being here. Hi, Dee. Let's see. Somebody just rang my doorbell. I hope it's nothing important. It's probably just a package. I did order several things off. Yeah, that's the mailman. Okay. Ooh, you know what that might be? My Kimberbell thing. Okay, so let me tell you about that. All right, so we're doing this sew along now, right? The Candy Corn Quilt Shop. I bought all of this stuff last year around this time because it went on sale on Kimberbell's Deal of the Week. Now, this week, I have a problem watching this site because it gets me in trouble. But this week, the deal of the week is a ladder quilt that I have had my eye on for some time. Let's see, I got a picture of it. It looks like this. It's called Quilting Through the Seasons, and I am a little bit obsessed with it because it has these removable embellishments that we can change throughout the season. So it comes with like 4 sets of really, really cute embellishments to change depending on winter, spring, summer, fall. I bought this. That is probably what my mailman just put outside my door. I bought it directly from Kimberbell on their Deal of the Week page. I have a referral link to the Deal of the Week page on my website. So if you go to the Candy Corn Quilt Shop homepage and you scroll down where we start talking about supplies, right here. So under supplies, this is my referral link to Kimberbell right here, deal of the week. So if you use my link, I very much appreciate it. And I bought the ladder quilt designs, the embellishment kit, the background quilting bundle. When you get those three things, your total comes to like $98.50 or something like that. So go ahead and throw in this little $1.99 tote bag. It's very cute. And this will get you to that $100 threshold to get free shipping. So if you are interested in possibly participating in this sew along, which I am anticipating will start in January, it all depends on I'm releasing a new course. Hopefully my plan is to release it in January. So I got to make sure I could do all these things at one time. But in 2026, we will be making this ladder quilt. And if you think you want to do that with us, I would go ahead and grab it now while it's all on sale. Also, I wanted to tell you right before this live started, I went ahead and started searching for fabric kits because I do really like the fabric in the example that they use. So I'm a fan of the fabric kits now. At first I was like, they're too expensive, but no, I'm a fan. This was the best price I found. It's on Etsy. Calico Cats Sewing. Once I'll make a homepage for this sew along when we get closer, and I'll put, places to buy the fabric kit, but I went ahead and ordered it now. They had free shipping and it comes with the backing fabric, but there was only one. It said 2 left when I bought it, so now it only says 1 left. But you can go ahead and start searching on Etsy or local quilt shops to see who still has the fabric kit available. But I just want to give you a heads up, that is going to be a future sew along for 2026 that is on sale now. Kimberbell changes their sales on Monday. So this sale will go away Monday, September 29th. They change it at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So you want to grab it before then if you think you want to participate in that sew along. Yeah, Brenda's like, I'm interested in the fabric kit too. Like I said, when I first started this, I was like, oh no, that's way too expensive. I got lots of fabric. I don't need a fabric kit. No, I'm not going to make it if I don't buy the fabric kit. That is me as a person who procrastinates. If I don't have the fabric kit and I make all my envelopes, I am not going to make it. And then I would have wasted all my money buying the designs because I won't make it. So that's kind of me, but you do you. If you don't need it, don't buy the fabric kit. The only thing you actually need is the designs, which is the book with the CD. And I highly recommend the embellishment kit because there are some things in there. There's some things you probably have in your craft room already, but there are some things that you don't. And you're going to end up going hunt for those things, and you're going to spend more than $20, and that's what the embellishment kit costs. You don't need the background quilting. We've talked about this in several of our sew-alongs. They're nice, but they're not necessary. And if you already have a collection of background quilting, you can use things you already have and like substitute it in, or just buy 1 or 2 and have that same design going throughout the quilt. So that's optional. So if you're trying to save money, just get the designs. If you can get that embellishment kit too, do it. Everything else is optional. But I'm a sucker for it all, so I got it all. Okay. Yeah, Retha is like me. So worth getting the fabric kit. It's not gonna get made if I don't buy it. Yeah. So Quilt Wench is like me too. So she has a problem picking fabrics for a quilt. Oh, you have no problem picking fabrics for a quilt, but these things, nope. Fabric kits are great. Okay. I have problems picking fabrics for a quilt as well. So I'm just not good at making decisions. I need somebody to lay it all out for me. All right. Good morning, Elsa. Glad you're having a beautiful day in the Central Valley. Brenda asks, where did I get my envelopes from? They are from Amazon, and they are linked on that sew along homepage I just showed you. That's on my website under the supplies section. All the little tools, even these envelopes, are all linked there. But I wanted to update you on some things we talked about last week, because as we are about to get started here, you're going to see that I am not using traditional stabilizer for these quilt blocks. If you're just tuning in for the first time here, I don't use traditional stabilizer for these kind of Kimberbell quilting projects. I use lightweight muslin cotton, and I use this in the replacing poly mesh no-show cutaway. And I previously bought it from Amazon, and I bought like 5 yards, and I'm getting to the end of that now that I've done a few quilts. But the last time we talked, someone told me that they have it at Walmart and it's actually cheaper. So I got their 2-yard pre-cuts of muslin from Walmart in their little fabric crafty section. I went ahead and grabbed 2. This was cheaper, significantly cheaper. I want to say these are like $6 a piece, so 12 for 4 yards. I was paying 22, 23 for 5 yards. So significantly cheaper at Walmart. And then if you do your you use the app and do grocery pickup or grocery delivery, this is on there. So I got that. And I went ahead and got a 3-yard pre-cut of black. And this is what I'm going to use for the backing, because this particular fabric kit did not come with the backing fabric. So no one's going to see the back. As long as the binding in the front is cute, you can use anything for the back. So I just got some plain black cotton, and that's going to be my backing for this quilt. So I got those things with my grocery order last week or earlier this week. So I wanted to tell you about that. I ordered a bunch. I got things. I have a problem. I even had a long conversation with my mother-in-law last night about quilting rulers that I didn't want to buy because I thought they were too expensive, but I still bought them this morning. Okay. So Quilt Lunch has a great question. Is there a reason that I'm using the muslin instead of stabilizer other than cost? No, it's strictly cost-based. It works just as good, and it's much, much cheaper. Now, I have not tried this as a replacement for clothing or other embroidery projects. This is strictly, I've only tried it for these quilting projects. But yes, that is the only reason, is cost savings. Because I placed a stabilizer order yesterday with Sewing Machines Plus, and that was $50-something. So yeah, I don't want to spend more money on stabilizer if I don't have to. Retha has a question. Any thoughts of doing the falling for autumn sew along? I do not have this one on my list right now, but it may, once I get these main ones that are like my personal favorites and that ones that I bought already. Once we knock those out, then I'll start taking requests and we can do whichever project y'all want to do. I also want to expand outside of Kimberbell and play with some designs by Juju and Sweet Pea Embroidery projects as well. So lots of things. Now that I've finally gotten over this hump of being scared of doing these large projects that take lots and lots of hoopings, now I want to make all the things. So we're just going to keep knocking them out as we go. As long as I could keep up the schedule of doing lives once or twice a week, especially we'll see in the spring, because I'm going to have a new course coming out on how to use Embrilliance Enthusiast. I just got to make sure I got time to do all of those, because when I do a new course, I have the course all made up, but I don't have all of the lessons recorded. And so when you purchase a course, like I said, when it's brand spanking new, you'll get the first few modules, and then every week a new module gets released. And so I spend that time recording those lessons and releasing them every week. So I just got to make sure I don't overbook myself, which I'm very good at. All right. Yay, Elsa loves Sweet Pea too. Now I need to go look at Deal of the Week. Yep, it's a problem. I try not to look at the site, but then I didn't even look at it this time. I got an email, because I get the Kimberbell emails, and it said something in the email headline that sparked, is this the Quilting Through the Seasons quilt? Because I knew the name of that one. I knew that was one I wanted. And when I clicked on the email, I saw it was on sale. I was like, add to cart, like check out before you know it. Hi, Roslyn. Okay. Yeah, Becky. So Becky just finally got all her stuff for this, but she's probably going to work on it next year. I totally understand that. All the videos and the cheat sheet and the homepage for the sew along, they're all still going to be here for you next year. So you can go back and refer to all of this when you have time to make it. All right, so I think I told you all the goodies I wanted to. So let's go ahead and get started. I have my envelopes for the sewing machine block, which is a larger block. By the way, we're going to make this in the 6x10 hoop. Technically, it doesn't really fit, but we're going to make it fit by just messing around with the basting stitch for the block. That's the only thing that doesn't fit. The final block size is 6x8. And then there's 3 hoop blocks. Let's see, what do they look like? One has a little ghost that says boo. I think that's the one we'll make today. And then the other one says home, sweet, haunted home. And then the last one says eek, and it has a spider on it. So the home, sweet, haunted home, and the eek one will be your homework. So we'll just make the boo one. So I have these ready. I have my background fabrics all pre-cut with my Pellon SF 101. We did all of this stuff in the first video. If you want to go back and watch from the beginning, you'll see how I did all my prep work. I also have my batting pre-cut to size, and I have a method where I cut my batting to the final size of the block. So if the final size of the block is 6x8, I got a 6x8 piece of batting in here. And you'll see when I get to the machine how I cut out some steps to do this. And then for the sewing machine block, you'll need to grab your black faux leather out of your embellishment kit, because the whole sewing machine is applique using this black faux leather. All right, so now let's refer to our cheat sheet and go to Embrilliance and put everything together. So we'll do 2 hoopings today. The sewing machine I'll do in the 6x10 hoop, and the little eek hoop I'll do in a 5x7 hoop. And then when I do my homework of the 2 other 4x4 hoops, I can fit both of those in one 6x10 hooping. And I could show y'all that too while things are stitching, if you want to see how to set that up. All right, so Embrilliance, and let y'all see my computer. All right, this is me playing with, what was it, Tuesday we did the tombstone blocks, and I still haven't finished my second flying geese. So I was playing around to see about fitting what I could fit in a 9.5x14 hoop, because this is what my Stellaire, that's the biggest hoop. So I was playing around with that. Okay, but let's look at our Kimberbell stuff. So the sewing machine and the boo hoop both had the same background quilting, just in different sizes. So I'm going to go open those. So I'm going to go to my quilting bundle, and it's Halloween 4, this one, and embroidery files, block by block. If you have your largest hoop is 5x7, I think what the sewing machine will fit in a 5x7 hoop, but you won't be able to do the background quilting like I'm doing. That's when you're going to go use the clear blue tiles method to add multiple hoopings of background quilting to your large piece of background fabric, which the final is 6.5 by 8.5, but I think we pre-cut it like a lot bigger, like 10.5 by 8.5, something like that. That's how big my pre-cut piece of background fabric. So you want to pre-quilt that, and you could do that like in like maybe 2 hoopings with your 5x7. And then you would choose this option. This option is different because it does not have any outline for the batting or basting or any of that. They're just the quilting. But since I'm doing mine in the 6x10 hoop, I'm going to open up the one that has those outline stitches telling me where to put my batting and basting stitch. What I said we need 6x8. Come on, mouse. My mouse does not like me. There we go. 6x8. So I'm going to double click this and it will open in Embrilliance. And then I'm going to go back and I need 4x4 for the hoop quilt. Double click that and it will open in a new hoop. So now I got 2 tabs with my 2 blocks I'm making today. But what I want to do is go to my preference window and now change this to the actual hoop that I'm using. So 6 by 10. And I can uncheck this. And now zoom out. And you can see this is what the 6 by 8 block looks like in the 6 by 10 hoop. See where the problem is? It's actually 6.5 inches wide, which is wider than the max embroidery feel of this hoop. So you see this is highlighted in red, telling me my machine's not going to let me do this. So we're going to tweak it. And this one we're going to do in a 5 by 7 hoop. So let's click 5 by 7. All right, and now we could see the 4 by 4 block fits great in a 5 by 7 hoop, even though it's 4.5 inches wide, even though it's a 4 by 4 block. Okay, now let's mess around with this one first before we add in the design on top of it. So here's my placement stitch for my batting. That fits, no problem. Tack down stitch for batting. I don't need this stuff, so I'm going to delete it. Placement stitch for background fabric. Don't need that. I'm going to delete it. I just put my background fabric right on top. And this is too wide. So I'm going to zoom in. I have just this selected. I am not manipulating the size of my background quilting at all. I'm only manipulating this basting stitch, which does not matter. And I will be removing when it's done. So there's one side. Okay, just highlight the basting stitch. And I'm trying to get it right inside there. Now I don't have a red highlight here telling me the size of my design is too big. It fits in my hoop, and I can go back and see, okay, now everything's going to be fine, and I'm removing that basting stitch anyway, but I could still baste down my background fabric. Another option would be just to delete this step altogether. It should still be fine without a basting stitch. Okay, now that we have that done, we need to go and add the sewing machine on top. So I'm backing up until I get to the beginning of my folder that has everything for this quilt. And embroidery files, pick my format. I'm doing the quilt designs. These are the bonus projects. And I'm looking for the sewing machine. Oh, this is cute. They have several options. Let me put it as a list so you can see. But if I hover over it, it says 5 by 7 sewing machine Baby Lock, 5 by 7 sewing machine Bernina. This one's Brother. This one's Elena. This one's Handy Quilter. That's cute. Hertzbana Viking. What's this one? Janome. Juki. Bath. Singer. Okay, so those are all your options. So these have that name already on there for you. And I think you can delete it if you don't want any name on it. So I'm going to choose the Brother one. So I'm going to grab that one. And I'm going to drag and drop it on top of my background quilting. So there is the design. So instead of saying brother, it says bruther. So all of the designs will have some kind of pun. So let's see what Baby Lock is. Baby Lock is Batty Lock. That's cute. Let me delete it and do the next one. Bernina, I would guess Boonina. Yep, Boonina. We did Brother. Elena, I don't know. Ikana. Ikna. That's cute. I forget what this one was. Oh, Handy Quilter. Hallow Quilter. Viking. Hisk. Varna Flying. I don't know. I don't get that one. This one I think was Janome. Janome-eek. That's cute. Juki. Spooky. I like that one. That's cute. Why is my computer being weird? Okay, delete. I'm just opening them all just to see what they're called. Vampire instead of vampire, vampire. Cute. And this one was singer, screamer. Very cute. So y'all got an idea of what all those sewing machines say. And then of course, if you don't want it to say anything, you just go to that step, this step, and delete it. And then it won't say anything. Or if you want to make it say something personal, you know, personalized, delete this step, use your lettering tool, write whatever you want, rotate it so that it's going in the same direction. You can do that as well. So totally up to you. I am gonna leave the breather. I think I like that one. Okay, so this one is done. We've manipulated our background quilting so that it fits, but we didn't actually skew the size of the background quilting. So it all is going to look the same. And let's see, then when we get to the sewing machine, we have some details. Then this is going to be the applique placement, applique tack down. This one is going to be a bean stitch finish, so there's no final satin stitch on this one. We got a thread detail, scrolly work at the bottom, and then the optional wording on there. So this one's ready to send to my machine. So I'm going to go to File, Save Stitch File As, click my USB, and it is Candy. Wait, let me do capital. Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe Sewing Machine. PES format, because I have a brother. Save. Okay, now let's do the next one. We already got the background quilting. We don't really need to make any adjustments to this one, but I still like to go and delete those steps of the batting tack down and the fabric placement. I delete those steps because I don't think they're worth stitching out. Again, that's a personal opinion. You can stitch all of them out if you want. And we need to add the boo hoop. Here we go, this one. So drag and drop. And now it's right where it needs to be. And I can look at this. There's a placement and tack down for the applique that goes in the hoop. Then the lettering, the ghost, the design on top of the ghost. Why don't we just stitch the ghost first? This and this. So I'm going to move this step one earlier. So the ghost will stitch. And then now I don't have a thread change. I don't have to go from black to white to black. I'll just do white. This will stitch in black. Then this, it'll actually, once I send it to my machine and those two are back to back, my machine will combine these into one step. So I'm going to do that. That's ready to go. File, save, stitch file as, choose my USB, name it Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe, boo, hoop. PES format, save. All right, and now I have to eject my USB by clicking that button right there. And sorry, I could not see any of your comments while I was doing that. So let me know if you have any questions about that whole Embrilliance bit. I say this for every so long, none of that is necessary. That is me. I like to mess with things on my computer versus my machine. Now the Stellaire is nice because it has a huge screen, but I'm just so used to it because my first machine had a screen this big and it was in grayscale, no color. I could not tell what anything was on that screen. So over, the years, I have become accustomed to doing everything on my computer before I send it to my machine. You do what works best for you. You can bypass all the computer work and just open up both the background quilting and the applique design on your machine and skip through things, use your navigation, all that stuff. So y'all like I see y'all like the breather. That's funny. Yes, Denise, you always have Monday to start. Don't worry about nothing. Just do it when you have time. If you don't get it done by Halloween, oh well, you got a head start for next year. I did not complete my 4th of July project, but it's okay. I got a head start for next year. I'll get to it eventually. Hi, Sherry. Okay. I'm just checking the chat to see if I missed anything. Okay. All right, I think I saw it all. Okay, so now we have everything ready. I just have to grab, oh, I did not fix this camera before we started. Let me fix this. I usually look at this before I start to make sure it's actually where I want it to be. So many of y'all, I'm sure, know that Amazon does a Prime Day in October now. They do like a second Prime Day. And I'm already starting to make a list of things that I'm going to look for on Prime Day. And one of them is a new camera. This camera has worked great for the past 5 years, but I want to try to get something a little bit better, and hopefully will help y'all see things better. That's on my list, along with probably a lot of other things, because they usually have some good deals with crafty stuff on Prime Day. But stay tuned. I always get up early on Prime Day and I go searching and I make a list of all the good deals that I find so that y'all don't have to spend as much time searching for things. I do the hard work for you, but I love it. I find so many good things. All right, this is, I think we're working on the last bit of my, oh wait, no, maybe this one's better. Yeah, this is the last bit of the Amazon muslin I have left, and then I'll break into my new Walmart one. But actually, this one would be just tall enough. I might use this one. Save the other one for the 5x7 hoop. Because this one looks like it just happens to be what's left, but it's the perfect height for the 6x10 hoop. So I'm going to do this. Make sure everything is tight. And now we are ready to go to the machine and start working on our sewing machine block. Let's see. So I think I have all my colors by the machine, but I have my fabric and the batting and my glue stick. I got everything, and now my cheat sheet, which I don't think we need the cheat sheet no more, but I'll bring it over there just in case. So now let's go to the machine. Come on, mouse. Okay, ooh, I need to grab my USB stick out my computer and plug it in here. And embroidery, USB. And let's look for the sewing machine right there. See, like on my first embroidery machine, the PE 770, the screen was like this big and nothing was in color. So I literally could not even tell what design I was opening. This is like so much nicer. And it's so easy to do things on here too if you wanted to. Like once I got here, they have an add button, and this is like where I could open up the background fabric, the background quilting, and then hit add and go put the embroidery machine on, and then you're good to go. That's if everything fits though. Like I'm using the 6x10 hoop, and that this background quilting did not fit in this hoop. So that's when software really comes in handy, when you have to make changes like that. All right, I have white thread loaded. I'm gonna leave that on there and lower my presser foot. My first step is placement for batting. I got my glue stick. You can also use spray adhesive. Just don't spray it around your machine. Take it away when you do it. Or you can bypass all that by cutting a piece of batting that is bigger than what you need and laying it down like an applique, the next step was the batting tack down that I deleted. You stitch that and trim it just like an applique. That would bypass all the adhesive stuff if you're not a fan of adhesives. Okay, I always end up taking my hoop off for this part because I don't want to do it here where there's nothing underneath and put too much pressure. So I'll only put the glue on right now on the spots that was on the machine. So like now I can get here. All right. And then again, while it's on a nice flat surface, add your batting. Mine is going to fit perfectly inside that placement stitch since I cut it to size at exactly 6 by 8. And I'm just going to press it down so that glue holds it in place. And now I've also skipped the step that is a placement stitch for your fabric, because to me, I know my fabric needs to go right on top of the batting. So I skipped that step. You could stitch it if you want to. And now I'm going to add my background fabric right on top of my batting. If you follow the cutting instructions, it's cut a good bit bigger than what you need, so it's hard to mess up. Okay, now the next step is the basting stitch. And for the basting stitch, I'm using a water-soluble thread because we need to remove it before we trim the block. So this just makes that removal process a good bit easier. Oh, I forgot to cut the white thread. Cut. Now pull out. All right. Now we got that water-soluble thread, and it is going to go baste this background fabric in place. And let me check my cheat sheet. This background quilting is in white, so when the spacing stitch is done, I'm going to go right back to my white thread for the background quilting. Okay, back to white, and that's my background quilting. Come on, thread. Moving around. Okay, and lower and go. And the step after this is some details on the machine, which are black. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get my black thread ready on my thread stand that's on top of my machine. And I'm gonna double check my book. I think this is the only block that uses the black faux leather. So you can tell by looking at page 6 and, oh God, my kids would be all over this right now. Page 6 and 7 of the book. Does anyone have kids or grandkids that are in middle school or, you know, preteen, teenager that are obsessed with the number 6, 7? Because my kids are ridiculous. And I find myself now like doing certain things, and then I'm like, I don't say it, but I'm like, oh, if Abigail or Elise would be here right now, they'd be saying it. All right, black embroidery leather sewing machine. So this is the only block that uses this piece of embellishment. So I don't have to worry about saving any I always like to put it in a way where if I don't use it all, I can save it for a different project, but I don't have to worry about actually needing it for a separate block. It's only this one. Okay. This mouse does not like me. Well, it doesn't like my craft table is what the problem is. It wants a mouse pad. Okay. Hello, Marissa. Happy Friday. Travel with Kathy. Did I double the muslin? No, I did not. That is just the one piece. I just use a long strip of it and I kind of work my way down. I usually hoop it on the other end, but this time for some reason I hooped it to where all the excess fabric is on the left, when it's usually I do it when it's on the right. Hi, Linda's Trendy Threads. Thanks so much for joining us for this first time. We are doing the Candy Corn Quilt Shoppe Sew Along from Kimberbell. We've been working on it a couple weeks now, so we're kind of in the middle of doing some blocks for this quilt, but you can get all the information. The link should be right below this video. It's a link to my website. It's kind of like the home page for this sew along if you're interested in participating. Hi, Sue from Minnesota. So did anyone have any questions about the part I did on Embrilliance before here? Rosalind, I love it. If you have a Ricoma machine, you could do Ricoma. I love it. Yes. That is so cute. Let's see. I didn't see any questions about Embrilliance, but I just wanted to double check. Yes, I totally agree. Machine embroidery is always so cool. I'm fascinated by it on a regular basis. What I always tell this story, but like I got into embroidery strictly to monogram and applique onesies and like baby bibs and burp cloths. That is all I saw that you can do with an embroidery machine. And then once I got into it and I started teaching, this whole other world opened up of all these other things that you could make with an embroidery machine. And this is my latest obsession, is quilting with my embroidery machine. But I think I've told y'all I am still trying to make a real quilt. Oh, let me show you what I did. I'm still trying to make a real quilt. I'm practicing at the moment before I actually start sewing my good fabric that I have planned for this quilt. But just to update you, I think this was my first one. Oh, something's wrong. Stop. What is wrong with you? Wait, let me put you back on the machine. It was making a weird noise. So I just hit the start stop button. Something sounds weird, but nothing looks off. Let's hit. Hear it. It's up here. It's clicking. Something is not happy. Let me hit cut. All right, let me cut my thread and pull it through. But like, it was making some weird clicking noise that definitely sounded like this area. I don't see anything. Let's see if just rethreading does the trick. Double checking. We got some nesting going on. That's probably where the problem is. Even though it sounded from up here. Yeah, we got some real nesting happening here. And I'm also, I can see I'm about to run out of bobbin thread. So and there's debris. Yeah, lots of things wrong. There we go. One noise, all the things. Okay, I see. this, the bobbin thread something doesn't look right. But no, it's not debris. It just wasn't pulling up right. So that's almost empty anyway, which may be what's causing the problem. So I'm gonna get a new pre-wound bobbin, drop it in counterclockwise on my machine, and I pull it through the bobbin path a good bit to make sure that the tension is set correctly with it. Okay. I'm not gonna cut these out. I don't know if y'all can see a little bit of nesting that's happening here. I'm not going to cut them out, but I'm just going to back up just a few stitches to lock them in. But I don't want to go over it too much because there's a lot happening right there in that spot. Okay, so needle plus minus. I'm going to just back up 10 stitches. And let's listen and see if it's, yeah, it sounds much happier now. Yeah, okay. Back to normal. Yeah, this must have been the culprit. Wasn't quite right. Oh wait, yeah. They had two pieces. It's the beginning and end of this bobbin. Maybe that's where it was messing up. How many of y'all saved the plastic bits of your pre-wound bobbins so that you can wind, like say I need black bobbin thread or red bobbin thread for one in the hoop project and reuse these? Because like I've heard mixed things. Some people say these are not meant to be reused, but I could tell you from personal experience, I have reused them and they have worked fine. I always save them in case I need another color. Now, some of these are metal that like came with the sewing machine. Those are, I know those are good, but all the rest of these clear ones, those are all old pre-wound bobbin. Spools. Okay, back to telling y'all about the quilt block. Craft table. Okay, so this row here is my first attempt, and I realized I needed a special ruler to be able to trim these, so I got this quilt in a day ruler, and I'm sure for most people this works. You line up these lines with these lines. I'm not sure if I'm using it right, but I trimmed all the way around. Maybe I was only supposed to trim here and here. But I put these four together and the points did not line up too great here and here. After I did more research on how to improve my flying geese, I found a lot of people. So I know one thing I need to work on is my seam allowance, making sure that it is consistent. I got a little metal guide. I did all these on my Juki sewing machine, which doesn't have any guide on it whatsoever. It's just got the normal little presser foot that is about 1/4 of an inch. Like if I line up the fabric with the side of the presser foot, that's about right. I think I'm going to start trying to sew on the Stellaire because I have a lot more feet with that machine that I can make sure my sewing is right. But I just wanted to tell you, after doing more research, I got a lot of recommendations for a different flying geese ruler to trim the blocks. And it's made by a company called Block. And I ordered them this morning. I saw them when I first started, but I thought they were way too expensive. But now I realize they're expensive for a reason. Everybody uses them. But the cool thing about them, they'll come in tomorrow, so I'll be able to show you for our next class. But they have these grooves in them so that they lock on your block that you're trimming with the seam allowance, the seams that are underneath, if that makes sense. Loading black thread, we're doing some of the black accents on the sewing machine now. So we're done with all the background quilting bit. Now we're starting on the sewing machine. So with this new ruler that I ordered, you see where the black lines are on here? On their ruler, when you turn it over, there is a groove cut out on the back side so that this 1/4 inch seam, when you press on it, it locks, that groove locks in it. And that's how all their blocks are made. They make them, they're rulers. They have rulers for flying geese, and they have rulers for half square triangles where there's a groove cut where the seam is. And that really helps you make sure everything's trimmed correctly. And I know with that one, I've just put it on my rotating cutting mat and I'll trim all 4 sides and my block should come out good. So I'm going to play with that and see if that helps me or if it's just a me problem that I'm not sewing with great seams. But this is my practice. This was my second one I did, trying to take more time and make sure my seams were sewing, you know, trying to sew better. But it still didn't come out all that great. And then I ended up sewing them together different than this one. So I only see this one triangle that is way off here on this point. But this is my beginner real quilt journey. So we're going to see how it goes, but we're going to keep playing with it. But I just wanted to update y'all that I ended up I did order a different flying geese ruler to play with. And I got, they come specific for the size block you're making, just like the other one I had. So I got the 3x6, which my whole quilt is all 3x6 blocks. And I also got the 2x4 one in case in the future I want to play with flying geese and make some smaller ones. All right, so just finishing up stitching. Let's see. Check the comments. Hi, Jeanette. Let's see. So everybody's doing good. Anything y'all want to talk about while we're waiting for things to stitch? There's something else that I can show y'all too, if you want to get ready to participate in October's Sip and Stitch tutorial. If you have children or grandchildren and like making them clothing, shirts, rompers, those kinds of onesies with embroidery on them, I have a blanks company that I really like, that next month's Sip and Stitch, we're going to be making little boys embroidered Halloween shirts. And I am getting ready to place my order for the cute little shirt blanks. And I can show y'all where I'm ordering from if y'all want to get some too. All right, we're done with the little accents. Now we're going to do the placement stitch for the faux leather. So we could just leave that with black thread and get our faux leather ready. And it looks like it's going to pretty much take up this whole piece. I might get a little sliver of it left over. All right, so that's showing me exactly where to put my black faux leather. So I'm just making sure I cover up that whole shape that is done with the placement stitch. So I'm going to make sure it passes a little bit further down and a little bit more this way than needed. And then when I lift up here, the line is here. So I'll have a little sliver here and a little sliver here left over, not much. But I like this faux leather, so I want to make sure I save a little bit of it for something in the future. Okay, that is there. Next is going to serve as both your tack down stitch and your finishing stitch. Since this is a bean stitch applique, it's just going to do a bean stitch outline and we are going to trim it. And when it's done, you're still going to see the raw edge of the sewing machine. Okay, while that's sewing, I'll go show y'all the little boy shirts that I'm going to order. Computer. Here we go. So this is AJ Blanks. I've been buying her stuff for years. This is Angela Jasmina. If you also watch her on YouTube, she has a great YouTube channel showing her embroidery business. She has an excellent Etsy shop, and she does all kinds of stuff now, including she has her own blanks company. And she came out with these adorable striped shirts that I love. So I showed them to my cousin today, who has a little boy that just turned 2. And I asked her what colors she wants me to buy and what size I should get him. So right now I got gray and green in my cart. And then I need to call my sister-in-law to see. My nephew is not a year yet, but he is a big boy. So I'm wondering if he'll fit in a 12-month shirt. So I might order one for him too, to make him a shirt. And then what my plan is to do a cute little embroidery, like filled stitch design right here, and then a name underneath. We could also do an applique across the whole thing, but the style I've been seeing with these stripy shirts that I really like is a little fill stitch design and a name right here in like the pocket area. So that is my plan for my October sip and stitch that I do on YouTube. I do a new one every month. And this month, I like to rotate which machine I use. So this month I'll be doing it on my brother's 6-needle machine, a multi-needle, which will be great for a filled stitch design, because then it's literally you set the shirt and then you just watch it. You don't have to worry about changing thread colors or nothing like that. And that's going to be October 24th, I think. It's a little bit later because I have a trip. I'll be out of town the week before, so I moved the sip and stitch to be a little bit later in the month. But here you can see the sewing machine applique is done, and now we're just going to go and trim that out with our scissors. And this one looks like, it's a bit detailed, and unfortunately Kimberbell does include a lot of SVGs with their appliques, but I want to say the bean stitch applique ones, they do not. It doesn't come with the SVG. It'll tell you in the book. Let's look and see. So page 31 is where this instructions is for this block. Right there. Yeah. Trim leather as desired. Sewing machine is a raw edge applique, will not have additional cover stitches. No SVG files are provided for raw edge designs. So this would be one I'd be interested in pre-cutting, because there's a lot going on here. But those just so happens, these raw edge appliques, they don't give you an SVG for. So I'm just cutting with raw edge bean stitch designs like this. I usually don't cut like right next to the stitch line like I do for satin stitch appliques. I like it to poke out a little further. So this is all a personal preference. You can trim these however you like. But it's going to take a minute because there are a lot of curves happening. But yeah, I wanted to tell you about next month's sip and stitch. I'm going to be using my 6-needle. However, the design is it's going to be 4x4 friendly. So you can still stitch this on your flatbed machine, any even if you only have a machine that has a 4x4 hoop as your biggest size, you're going to be able to make this project if you want. And when we do it, once I get the 6 needle, once I get my shirt on my machine and all set up, I'll have an extra shirt and I'll show you how to hoop your shirt on a regular flatbed hoop, so you could see how the process is a bit different. That's one of the main reasons why I ended up investing in a free arm machine, was specifically to make life easier when stitching clothing, most importantly children's clothing. It makes life so much easier. But it took me a good 6-7 years to finally bite the bullet from going from my little 5x7 machine to a big one. So I understand if you're not ready for that yet. But I did want to tell you, I don't know if I have a link for it underneath, but I just worked on yesterday updating. If you either have an embroidery machine already and you're like ready to upgrade, or you are watching this and you're like, ooh, I want to do this, but I don't have an embroidery machine. I have a free guide that you can download. It's called an Embroidery Machine Buyer's Guide. And I go through all the things that I recommend that you think about before you buy a machine. And I go through different hoop sizes. I go through different things you can make with your embroidery machine based on the hoop size. All of that is in the guide. And then I go and show you different machines and, based on your budget. Like, I'll show you the 4x4 machines, the 5x7 machines, the 8x12s, the free arms, the multi-needles, industrials, just to give you an idea of your options that you have. So if you ever have questions about getting either your first machine or a new machine, check out that guide, and then you can always email me once you figure out maybe what you want and need help picking, I had tweezers. Here they are. Okay, see like a little jump stitch right here I'm trimming. Okay, so we have our sewing machine applique done. And like, this is probably too much, but I can save that as a piece. And this, and put this in my scrap pile, because you never know if you have like a little tiny accent that would look cute with faux leather. So this is going in my vinyl scraps. And now this can go back on the machine, and we'll just do the last few stitches on it. Okay. All right, so next is green. I don't think we need black anymore, so I'm gonna take the black off because I know we need white. I got white already set up on my thread stand. But I said green. Green. Lime green, I love it. Thread the needle. Move that closer. Okay. And I got everything on correctly. And go. And this is some thread. It goes through here. And then a spool up here, I think. Oh, up here. This is your spool. Oh, that's cute. The green really pops on the black. Okay, that is done. And still have my machine on my navigation screen, so it went back now to my home screen. So the next two steps are white. And that's the little scrolly work. And then the bruiser. Okay. And then we'll be done with this and we can move on to the boo block. Okay, so Quilt Lynch said, where is the guide? If you don't see it underneath this video, it's right on my website. So let me go. If you go to just carlybell.com, the main page, when you scroll, if my mouse is going to work, scroll down right here. So you can click on this and hit download. Is it going to work? And just put your name and email and it will automatically send it to you. Let's see, I might have it open on this one. Yeah. So let's zoom out. So this is what it's going to look like when you open it up on your machine. Tells you a little bit about me. And I break it up into the size machines. And this is where like I go over all the things to know and think about before you buy a machine. Before jumping in, what do you want to make? What's your budget? Do you think you might want to start a home business eventually? Because a lot of people get into embroidery with that, having that thought right off, the bat. Some people just do it as a hobby. The different brands that they have. There's a whole world of brands. To keep the guide more specific, I focus just on brother and baby lock machines. Difference between embroidery and sewing embroidery combo machines, hoop sizes, and then we start getting into the machines, the 4x4 machines. These are things you can make it with as small as a 4x4 hoop. And then 5x7 machines, tells you a little bit about them. And everything that the 4x4 can make. And then these are some 5x7 friendly projects. 6x10 machine. Now you're getting, into like what were you doing today? These are great for Kimberbell projects. 8x12 and higher. So this is my machine here, my Stellaire XJ2. And you'll notice all of the pictures and anything that's in this pink color is a link. So you can click on this and it will bring you to Sew Machines Plus's website. That's where I get my machines from. And I know like this particular one is a huge investment. So if most people don't go and just add this to cart on an online page, but I have a salesperson that I work with at Sewing Machines Plus. So if you are interested in talking to someone, just click right here and this will bring you to a form you just fill out. And then Jean, my salesperson at Sewing Machines Plus, will contact you and answer any questions you have, help you with financing, all that kinds of stuff. So that is the embroidery machine buyer's guide that I have. It's a free download. Okay, we did the scrolly work. Now it's going to do bruiser. I just have to lower the presser foot and go. Okay. But yeah, just updated that guide yesterday, updating some of the prices that changed and making sure all the links worked, and making that form to kind of make life easier for people that are interested in talking to Jean, because sometimes her phone is ringing off the hook and her email inbox gets crazy full. So I thought maybe this new process would be helpful for people that want to talk to her, that are interested in getting a new machine. She is excellent. She not only will she answer all your questions, she's going to help you get the best deal. She has a special discount code for my followers to help you possibly get some percentage off your machine. If you don't finance your machine, ask her about that. If you can get an extra discount if you don't finance, because that's what I did when I got my Persona. And then discount on all the accessories. They ship it to your house for free. And I just think it's great. So just let me know if you have any questions, okay? I love this. Dee said, is there a chapter in the guide for hubbies? Because her husband got her one for Christmas and did not check with me first. No, unfortunately, I don't have a spot in there for hubbies, but I guess I should ask a disclaimer. Speak to wife before making purchase. Yes. Yes, Angela, you always have the replay to watch. If you're like me, like I'm terrible at watching videos because my kids are constantly coming to me asking me for things. My husband, my phone's ringing. I get distracted by my computer or my phone that having the replay is going to be there for you. Okay, so we are done with our sewing machine block. Now let's go to the craft table, and we could have did this while this was stitching, but let's go ahead and unhoop this. And we'll clean it up after. And let's get our hoop block started. So here's my stabilizer, the muslin. Hoop that. And this is my envelope. And let's go back over to the machine and load that design and get it started. So I'm going to hit OK, home, OK, embroidery, USB. And there's my little boo hoop right there. Set. Embroider. Okay. I have white thread on there. That is fine to do this first step with, which is just the placement stitch for the batting. And I can just roll this up here. So this is normally how I do it. I keep it to where all my extra stabilizer is on the right, but you could do whatever. Okay. Little 4x4 square there. This one's all in a good spot where I can add the glue. Except maybe right there, because the glue stick's too tall. Okay. And got my little 4x4 piece of batting, fits right in my little spot. And according to my cheat sheet, my boo hoop gets the green bat fabric. I'm gonna grab that out. And they all have this gray fabric for the applique bit. So green bat fabric, that's the background for this one. And I do want to change my thread to the water soluble, because the next step is the basting stitch. Since I altered my setup in Embrilliance, I deleted a couple steps that I don't think are necessary. Okay. So that is ready to go. Basting stitch. And then my cheat sheet says the background quilting of this one is green. I already got my green thread on my thread stand. Okay, now we're ready for background quilting. And lower and go. And I think the next bits will be in white. I think white up there. Let's see. All right, Rosalind said detail. Was it D? Who told us that? I forget. Oh, I forgot already. Who told us about the husband and not checking with them? Oh, D. Yeah, it was D. D. You could tell your husband send one to Rosalind too. All right. Yeah, D. What did he get you? Let's see. Ooh, a Burnett B70. I had one of those. I tried one of those out. I learned that for me, coming from always using a brother, I did not grasp the user friendliness of it as well as I do a brother. But I ended up sending it back, but I think I just got frustrated with it too quickly. But how are you liking it, D? Are you struggling with it at all, or is it working good for you? Oh, this is a great idea, Becky. So we're talking about saving the scraps, like the little pieces of black faux leather. When her grandson was younger, she made him several shirts with monster trucks and other vehicles, and those little pieces of black work great for the tires. Yes, that is very true. And my little baby cousin Quincy, he if y'all are on my email newsletter list, y'all got an email from me this morning, and I post a picture. He turned 2 this week, and they had his birthday party last weekend, and he had a Cars themed birthday party. And when I tell you, this was the cutest birthday party theme, and the decorations my cousin Chelsea made were amazing. And I put a picture of the cake table in the email. So go check your email if you haven't already, and go check out the Mack truck cake table. It's amazing. All right, we finished the background quilting. I'm just going to leave the green thread on, and that's going to show me the circle of where to put my applique fabric. It is going to be hard for y'all to see this circle, but I will be able to see it. And I am all about the least amount of thread changes. But if you did this and you know, like, I can't even tell where that circle is because the green blends in too much, do a contrasting color, because this step will get totally covered up. You won't be able to see this thread. But I am lazy and try to do the least amount of thread changes as possible. Now, this is a prime situation where it is very good that we line the back of this fabric up with the Pellon SF101, because this pattern is so bold and bright that if that wasn't on there, you would see those little bats super easily through this fabric. But it does help with that interfacing on the back. Okay, covered up my circle. Now this is the tack down stitch. So this is a traditional satin applique. So there's a placement, a tack down. We're going to trim it. And then later on, there will be a satin stitch to cover up the raw edge. Okay. So we're going to go trim that applique. I'm getting hungry. What time is it? Almost 12. That's why. All right. So we're just going to trim the circle. So this is the case where like I trim close to that stitch line. Try not to leave any gap of fabric and get as close to that stitch line as possible. So there's no fabric poking out of my satin stitch when it's all done. Okay. So we're done with that. Go back to the machine. And change our thread to white. And it's going to stitch the little ghost because I changed the order of things when I was playing with everything in Embrilliance because I thought it made more sense to not have to go back and forth between black and white. So if you're stitching this and you're like, wait, no, the next step for me is doing boo, that's why I changed mine up. And now on my machine, because I changed it in Embrilliance, and I moved the order, boo and the outline stitch have now been merged into one step that says black on my machine. Okay, while this is stitching, because this will just take, I think, a couple minutes, 3 minutes maybe, let me go show y'all in Embrilliance if you wanted to stitch 2 of these in one hooping using a 6x10 hoop. Okay, Dee saying she has not used it yet for various reasons. My story, and I'm sticking to it. Oh, I agree with Quilt Wench. Tell him you should have got the Avenir. Yes. I was at the Applique Getaway this past summer in Dallas, and they had a booth across from me that was like a Dallas quilt shop, and they had the Avenir. And I purposely did not go look at it for the simple reason of I knew I was going to want to take it home, and that would have been a problem. But yeah, Avenir, definitely. Okay, so let's go back to Embrilliance and show you my computer. Okay, and let's open up a new hoop and click make it 6x10. There we go. All right, so now we have a bigger hoop. And watch, I'm gonna go grab this whole guy here. I'm gonna go to copy. Like you could go right here. This one, copy. Go here, hit paste. And now that is ready for you there. And then if you wanted to do the other, well, let's go finish stitching first, and then we'll come back to this. My microphone cord got stuck on my drawer. Sorry if that was loud. Okay, now we need black thread. And this is the step that it combined now. Okay, and I'm gonna pause it because This is like a cross stitch step, and there's a tail poking up, and I know that if it gets stuck, it did already, didn't it? Yep, it already got stuck. Let me get my scissors, my tweezers. It's gonna look funny. This random thread going through your cross stitch and that's not in the right place. That I'm sure no one will notice but me, but I'm still gonna fix it because I can. There we go. Okay. The scissor stays here. Can't mix them up. All right, where were we? Oh, did I change the thing? Yeah. Okay, so now let's go back to Embrilliance. Boom. Okay. Where's my cheat sheet? I lost it. It's still over here. Okay, the other hoop, let's say we're doing the home hoop. That one has background quilting of chevron 4x4. So let's go back here. Chevron 1. 4x4 horizontal. 4x4 horizontal. I'm going to drag and drop. And I'm going to leave it right there because it's centered in the hoop. I'm going to wait to move it after I get the design with it. What's the design? Home hoop. This one. Drag and drop. Now it's right in the center. So I can highlight this one and hit Control and highlight them. So now they're both there, and drag them and move them here. And with this one, I'm going to delete those steps that I don't like. And I know, like if we were doing this one, this background quilting is in green. This one's in black. So I would go and I could leave that one that color. I'd make this one black so that they don't stitch together when I color sort it. Oh wait, let's go. I'm just going to go change the thread color on the machine real quick. Now my next step is the light gray for the little metal piece that is on top of the little embroidery hoop, the little screw. So I didn't change the camera, but that's what I'm doing. I'm just changing the thread color. And go. Okay. All right, back over here. Now my next thing would be that I would color sort this. So I would go through and figure out, okay, my placement stitch is blue, my basting stitch is orange. Keep that the same for both of them. Okay, this one background quilting is green, this one background quilting is black, so make sure they're different. You can, I would change these applique steps because then they're going to want to stitch with these batting and basting stitches. So just go change them to like one slightly different color blue and like one slightly different color orange, and then do the same thing for this one. Make those the same color blue and the same color orange, so those can be color sorted together. Okay, I gotta go change one more color now. Last step of my boo hoop is that color of the hoop that goes around, and I think I'm using my Goldie. I want to use a Goldie yellow color or more the brown color. I had a bin with all the color threads I wanted to use for this project, and I think I mixed them all up. I thought I had a brown color. I used it for something and I put it back. Let me check my book real quick. It's like a tannish brown color. Maybe this one. What do y'all think? Do this. So this is for the satin outline of the hoop. So this is my thread colors for this project. I think this will work. I can't remember what I had put aside for it. Okay, I'm gonna go do this one. And this is the last step. Okay. Okay, and this is going to cover up the raw edge of our applique. And that's the last step, this block. All right, let's go back to playing in Embrilliance. And here we go. All right, so I made those two appliques for the hoop, the same color as these two appliques for the hoop. So then they'll go. Then, okay, this is black. Then I need to make this quilting something a little different. Let's make it, nobody's gonna pick that color for anything, but I know that's gonna be black. Okay, these really are black. This is light gray, this is white. This is black, this is orange, marmalade, not the same color oranges that we've picked before, that's good. This is the same for both. This is the same for both. Okay, so this should work out good. So now let's go to utility, color sort, and let's see if I've made this in a way that will stitch like I want in my head. So placement stitch for both battings, basting or tack down stitch for both background fabrics. Then we're going to do quilting, and it's not doing what I want. After that, I would want this quilting, so I'm going to drag it. But they're in two different colors. See, it didn't do it how I wanted. Let's close this and go back here. Let's go to utility, color sort, and let's increase the tolerance. You say it went from 2 color changes to 6 color changes. Now let's see if it does what I want. 2 battings, 2 background fabrics, background quilting. It's doing both. This needs to be here. Okay, so there. Now placement stitch for both hoop. Tack down stitch for both hoop. Ghost. All the blacks for both the top and bottom hoop. The silver for both the top and bottom hoop. Now it's doing that, then orange, then that. So I would just move this one step earlier. So these two stitch together. We didn't have anything else that orangey color. No. So yeah, this would stitch out nicely. Placement stitch, batting, background fabric, quilting. Applique for both hoops. White, black bits for both hoops, silver bits for both hoops. The orange is only on one hoop, and then the light brown for both hoops. So it ended up actually only being 11 steps once I sent that to my machine. So that's how you can stitch 2 of these 4x4 blocks and 1 6x10 hoop. And how I figure out color sorting so that I have the least amount of steps and least amount of thread color changes as possible. By all means, you don't have to do this. This is a personal thing. That's what I like to do before I send my designs to the machine just to make it makes life easier for me. But if that makes life more complicated for you, don't do that. Stitch one block at a time. Yay, Gloria got her fabric. Just got to play catch up now. You got this, girl. I'm excited you're doing it with us. Ooh, and Quilt Wench says her next machine is going to be a long arm. I love the idea of a long arm, but I'm scared of them, and I have absolutely no space for one. Absolutely none. Unless Elise got rid of all of her toys, which is not going to happen. Because my 9-year-old daughter asked me last night for a kitchen set, like a baby 2-3-year-old kitchen set. I'm like, really? She's like, oh, what? Because she plays with it when she goes to baby Quincy, the little cousin that just turned 2. She plays with him and his little kitchen set that he's got. And I was like, no, you go play by Quincy. You do not need a kitchen. So we got a real kitchen. She knows how to cook eggs by herself, supervised. So yeah, she is nowhere near close to wanting to get rid of any of her toys. That's the moral of the story. Okay, last stitches there. All done. And look how cute that is. Okay. Let's see. Oh, wait. Quilt Wench says, according to my husband, we don't have space either. We'll see. We'll see. I love it. I love it. Okay. So this is our block. We're done. I'm going to pop that out. And I still didn't cut the other one. So both of these, I got these long strips of stabilizer because like normally if I wasn't doing this for classes and I want to trim each one so y'all can see, I would just rehoop this right here and stitch the next one and knock a bunch of blocks out and then trim everything. But I'm still getting the most out of my stabilizer by trimming it right next to the this stitch line here. Okay. So just trimming off the excess here. Which you can sew up these strips and try to reuse them if you want. If I was using poly mesh, I'd definitely be doing that because look at all the waste. That stuff's not cheap. So stabilizer off, and now we need to wet the water soluble basting stitch and get that dissolved, and then we'll press it. So I need to warm my iron up. And here is a prime example of a block we're going to have to be really careful with the iron because this is heat sensitive. We don't want our iron to touch our black faux leather. It will not like it. Add a few little jump stitches here. I'm going to cut while I'm waiting for the thread to dissolve if they let me. This one don't want to be cut. There we go. Okay. Just kind of help that thread dissolve. And when we turn it over, you can just pull up the normal bobbin thread, just pulls right out. Okay. Oh, I forgot to turn the iron on. Plug it in would be helpful. Okay. Let that warm up. And let's look and see which orange pop rulers. I know I need the 4x4 for this one. And I think this one is here. This is 6.5 by 8.5. And here's my 4x4 one. So this one will be here and this one here. So I'll put these, I don't like to trim them until I've pressed them. So I'm going to be, iron's still warming, but that's okay. Now this one doesn't have anything that the iron can mess up, so you can iron the whole thing. Just want to get it nice and flat so it cuts right when you trim it. And here's where I'm going to go carefully around my black leather and just focus on the edges and get those nice and flat. Iron is still technically not warmed up all the way. But it's working good enough. All right, that looks good to me. And rotating cutting mat makes this a lot easier. And I like to cut from the back. And even though we removed the basting stitch, the puncture holes, I could still see them. And with this particular block, I got to remember is I moved these basting stitch lines. I moved them in, but these are still in the right spot. So I'm going to make sure that lines up top and bottom good. But really, you look at the batting, you center that. That batting, like it should be 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And see. That looks good. Just you kind of eyeball it and center it. That's one thing where the orange pop rulers are not like super precise because you are eyeballing it almost every time. For me, what helps me get it to where I feel like it's just right is looking at those holes that my basting stitch left, because that's essentially your cut line where the basting stitch was, and that's why you want to remove it before you actually start cutting, because it can interfere with your cut by being in the way. Okay, if I did this good, this will just pop right up. There we go. Now we have perfect 6.5 by 8.5 inch block ready to be sewn. The seam allowance I already figured out. And now we have our little block. Now this one I did not manipulate, so my little puncture holes I see from my basting stitch would be right where I'd line my ruler up with. And who was my friend last week that said they had trouble with their orange pop ruler moving when they rotated their mat? Did you play around with adding some more sticky things to it? To the bottom of your ruler to keep it from sliding? I don't know if they're here today. I remember we talked about that last time. Did I cut this side? Yeah. This little tiny bit. Okay, there we go. So that is it. That is our 2 blocks for today. So remember, your homework is going to be to make the other 2 hoop blocks. And if you look earlier in this tutorial, I showed you how to you can stitch 2 of them in one 6x10 hoop. If you want to have less hoopings, you can do that. But I think these came out super cute. I love the breather. And remember, that's totally optional. You can just skip this last step if you don't want to have anything on there, or use your lettering tool in Embrilliance and customize it and make it whatever you want. Because we did that in the, what is it? The Oh So Delightful, the first sew along I did. There is a sewing machine on that quilt, and they had options to put the name brand. It was right here though, and I didn't do it, and I added Sip and Stitch right here on that sewing machine just to make it something special. I also changed one of the hoop blocks too to have my Carly Bell logo and the year this year, because we made that. I wanted to be for the year we made the quilt. So there are fun little things that you can do to customize your quilt to make it, make it a little different than what the instruction says. Have fun with it, and do whatever you think is going to look good. But that is it for today, our 2 blocks. Next class, we're doing a big one. What are we doing? The fabric bookshelf. So I think my plan is the fabric bookshelf is a 6x10 block. So a smidge longer than this one. However, we can make it fit in the 6x10 hoop by just totally disregarding that basting stitch. There are 2 large blocks in this quilt. The fabric shelves is 6x10. Then the quilt shop, which is going to be the last block we make on Tuesday, October 7th is when we're doing that one. That is an 8x10 block. That one I'm going to do in a 5x7 hoop. So you can see both options. If your largest hoop is 5x7, once you see the quilt shop block, you can take what we applied there and do it to the fabric bookshelf block. If you have a 6x10 hoop is your biggest, watch me do the fabric shelves where I make it work in the 6x10 hoop, but then watch the quilt shop one, because you're not going to be able to do that one in your 6x10 hoop. We're going to separate it into 5x7 hoopings, and we will also use the clear blue tile method to pre-quilt our fabric. So you'll get to learn all the methods once we're done. So next week will be fabric shelves. We're going to do it in one hooping. And then in a couple weeks, or next week after next, we'll do the quilt shop, and we'll do that in multiple hooping, so you can see how it's all put together. And Kimberbell gives you, with your files, there's a double hooping option for the fabric shelves, and there's a double hooping option for the quilt shop. So hopefully by the time we're done, everybody's covered as far as how to do it depending on their hoop size and their machine. But I think that's all. What else I got going on? We got next week, if you are in my From Start to Stitch course, every month we have a live Q&A session the first Wednesday of every month. So next week starts October. Can you believe it already? What is it? Next Wednesday is October 1st. So that's when we're having our live Q&A session. So if you're a student in that course, you can come join us Wednesday in the student Facebook group, or the replay will, of course, be available to watch after. But you can submit questions ahead of time so that your questions can get answered while I'm live, and then go watch the replay after. Other than that, I think it's just the sew along we have going on. And then my VIP membership group will be having that class October 21st. And I'm going to start working on that soon. So hopefully in the next couple classes, I'll have an example to show you. But we're going to make these really cute vintage ornaments that can be used as baby ornaments, or like newlywed or housewarming. They're going to be super cute. We have an inspiration photo that someone submitted that I loved. I was like, oh, we could definitely make that. So that's going to be our Zoom VIP membership class, October 21st. And then I've already told y'all our YouTube Sip and Stitch free for everyone tutorial is on Friday, October 24th. And we'll be doing the little boy embroidered Halloween shirt using those cute stripy shirts from AJ Blanks. So that is all for today. I hope you enjoy today's tutorial, and that you'll come back next Tuesday, which is September 30th at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, and we'll work on that fabric bookshelf block. But that is it for today. Thanks so much for coming, and I will see y'all next week. Have a great weekend. Bye, everyone.